In this video, we're going to be talking about overlays, which are kind of like a special type of artboard very commonly used in mobile application design. In a lot of mobile apps, for example, this one that we have here, if I was to tap the search button, I would not expect to completely get rid of all of the content on this page, load a whole new page that only has a search bar and a keyboard. Rather, I would expect the search bar to dynamically pop out of here or sit on top of all of this content, and my keyboard to then pop up from the bottom and sit on top of this content. That is the kind of standard for mobile design, right? We don't load entirely new pages. We very often have fly-out menus. We might like press and hold on something and then like a little menu, a little square menu might pop up on top of it. So that's what we use overlays for. So we create new artboards that are existing on their own, and this one's just called overlay. And what we do is we have these transitioned on top of these other artboards. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the prototype window. By the way, this is just a really simple setup. I have this search bar and search little search icon, and I have one of the keyboard presets on here. Additionally, I have a background rectangle that is currently hidden. So I'm going to just transition to this overlay to start with. So let's go to the prototype screen. I'm going to double click the navigation bar icon, the search bar icon, and I'm just going to drag it over to this overlay artboard and release. And one of the options that comes up besides transition is overlay. And whenever I click this, what's going to happen is it's going to show me this green box on top of my existing artboard. And this is saying, where do you want us to put this overlay? Because this overlay is exactly the same size as my artboard, this is fine. I don't need to worry about it, but I could come in here and manually adjust it. I could even scale it up and down if the artboard was not the right size. So this artboard, if I click and hold this middle, I can see a preview of how it's going to show. All right, that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and hit play and just give that a test. Okay, great. So I have this search bar that kind of floats on top of the screen, and this keyboard shows up, and if I tap, it goes away. Okay, so within that overlay window, there's lots of different animations. We could have the overlay slide in, so I might have them slide up actually. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's not bad. And there's, plenty of other things I could change, how it eases, the duration, etc. But most of the time what I want to change would actually be the background blur, as we can see that these sit on top of each other a little bit weird, right? It's hard to really see this search bar on top of all of this content. I kind of want it to overlay just like how the keyboard does. See how the keyboard sort of overlays on top of the other content where we can still see the edges of it through the keyboard, but it's certainly more present than this search bar. So let's just close out of that. I'm going to go back to my design, and that was what I had that rectangle for. So this rectangle, which is just a large rectangle object, I could change the color of it here, see what the fill looks like, so that you can see it better. And I just made it the size. I dragged it under all of my other layers, and I just made it the size of my artboard. Rather than this color fill, I think I'll do a darker gray. And then I can turn on the background blur option. What this will do is blur the background behind it. All right, so let's go back to our prototype mode, hit play, and give this a look. So now it does blur that background, and we get this nice effect. Actually, it looks pretty good with just the default settings. If I really wanted to, I could come in here and refine this further. Maybe I change the percent a little bit lower, or the amount of blur that happens. This is the brightness and the darkness. So there's tons of different things you can do to shift these around. Jump back into my prototype mode and hit play. That looks great to me. So overlays are a really powerful tool that allow you to create these kind of like mini transitions in your projects. And it gives you just a ton more options for how you might design a UI in a more modern or contemporary way.